Okay, people. So I am joined by Molly B. Thomas, and we're here to talk about her new short film, Viscera.
Viscera is how we're pronouncing it, but I
Oh,
wasn't sure at first either, so no worries. I've heard Viscera. I say Viscera. I could certainly be wrong too. I hope I'm not, because that would be embarrassing at this point. But it's like one of those things where it's like, call me whatever, It's like whatever you make of it. All with that.
now you say it. Yeah, it makes more sense. Right. Viscera. Oh my God. Okay. That was a really interesting show. Like, how did you get involved with that?
I got involved with Viscera. It's kind of funny, like the short, a lot of the themes are like technology and connection and like how we can use technology to connect versus how it can disconnect us, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that later. But I got involved through technology. I got an Instagram DM from Zach, who is the writer and producer and my co-star. And we had previously like shared representation, like once in a blue moon. Like we met at a birthday party, like in passing, and did an Instagram exchange. And then he sent me the script kind of randomly and was like, here is the script it was like an idea. I was like, here's an idea I have that I want to potentially make, and I think you'd be a good fit for it. And I was like, great, let me know. And then I didn't really hear from him, and I think everyone just kind of got busy with life. And then the actor's strike happened, and I reached out to him, and I was like, I'm really dying to like get to work. Like, how's that short film that you had written? He was like, oh my goodness, like that's a great idea. Like, let's do it. Like, and he then like was an awesome like producer and like got everything made during the strike, which is insane. Like got all the waivers and did all the procedures and got this incredible crew because everyone was just like itching to work. So we had these like insane, like high caliber crew members who were like on pause from their jobs at like Oppenheimer, like coming in to like do this for us. And we had the best time doing it. And now I'm getting off track, but yeah, that's how I got involved, in Instagram DM. And then, yeah, the rest is history.
Awesome. No, like that was all good information.
Yeah,
That's all stuff that, you know what I mean, we want to know. So
totally.
yeah. Like, what was it about the character that first kind of jumped off at you?
Yeah. When I first read it, like I just saw like a woman who was angry and like dissatisfied, and she didn't seem happy before the inciting incident, and she didn't seem happy about the inciting incident. And I don't even know if she's happy at the resolution of the film. And I think that's just interesting to me. And I feel like throughout my life, I've played a lot of like pretty characters, like silly characters. Like a lot of times, all the like female tropes have a nice little ribbon they're tied up in. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, she's really smart, but it's like, oh, she could be confident and driven, but she has to still be like really smart and successful. Or she could be like really pretty, but then she's also like, and that's kind of her thing. Or it's like she's complex, but then she's done. Like, there's not. I feel like we don't let like women get to be like consistently unhappy on screen, because people don't want to see that. I feel like, because people just want women to be like these happy, like flexible beings, for everyone's own benefit. And I think that I was just really excited to like not shy away from like scowling on screen. Like whenever I read a script, I try to find like moments that I'm like, what I would love to do. And I'm like, I would love to just fucking scowl. Like it just doesn't, you don't see it that much. And then especially not in like a leading character. Like usually it's like, it could be an evil side character, but I just found her to be like unapologetically angry, and that excited me.
Right. I think when I looked at the synopsis for this film, it kind of reads a little bit odd, because I think watching this, the inciting incident is, I feel it's not necessarily what you assume it to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I
You
think,
know,
yeah, I think that,
because
oh, go
sorry,
no,
go on.
no, go.
Oh no, I was gonna say because the synopsis is just like this infidelity and this thing happens,
Right.
but in the film it seems there's more complexity to it.
I totally agree. And for me, like, I think the inciting incident that you see on screen is just them like entering this like modern, like futuristic, immersive therapy experience, like entering the viscera is kind of what I view as like the opening of what's happening in front of us. But I definitely, and then that once they're in there, they kind of get their mind for these nuggets of truth of what the kind of their emotional inciting incident was, which is not, we don't really see.
Mm,
And I think that because we're seeing their minds get mined, and we're seeing their memories as they remember them, or potentially it could be their hopes, it could be a regret. I think that makes like what happened, like why are they in therapy, very gray. And I think that like even Zach and I disagreed about what happened, but I think what we did agree on is like what the flashes and the conversations and the images that we see in the therapy session, what they represent is like one kind of big truth for Coline and one big truth for Young. And I think that if she's having flashes of lies, if she's having flashes of things she wished happened differently, it doesn't matter. I think it's just we're seeing like what kind of just like her inner world, and that I feel like is a constant, if that makes sense.
mm. Yeah, there was that point when you say to Young, like, I think something like that's a phantom memory
Yeah.
or vision, right?
Yeah.
Which it happens all the time. You know what I mean? That kind of when people say things like, oh, that made me feel like this had happened. And you're like, but that never
That
happened.
never happened. Exactly. That's so true. And I think like the fun thing about sci-fi as like a medium is that when she says that to him, like that's a phantom memory. She, to me, I think it could really mean like, dude, like whatever weird like program we're in is planting that in your brain. Like it could literally mean that like it's like
Mm,
not a real memory, and it's been planted by this like other force. And then what also could mean is like that's something that you created in your head because you're insecure. Like that's a kind of more like close to home, like what we would think of as like a phantom memory in our lives. So we don't have those like crazy therapy experiences. But I mean, I think that's the cool thing about sci-fi is that those are all possibilities and all like equally valid. And again, like whatever is true, does it really matter if at the end of the day these two people are still not communicating or seeing eye to eye on the emotional truth of their situation?
yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that we end it on that kind of ambiguous note,
Totally.
right? We're not quite sure which way is this going, right? Do they make it through? Do they split? What
Yeah,
happens here?
totally. And I think that like for me, that last line, what it really represents is just like a surrender from her and like a letting go. And so I'm not even sure that I could say like what happens. I just think that it's her making a decision and starting the action of being like, okay, like throwing my hands up, like whatever this truth is eating me, I'm going to start revealing it. Whether
Mm,
that's like, I'm literally going to tell you exactly what happened, or it's like, I'm going to reveal a part of myself that's vulnerable that I've never told you about before. Or like, I'm going to think for myself for the first time, like, what am I feeling? Like, it could be like, it could be as far as this is exactly what happened. Here's how we're going to fix it. Or it could be as like, as as it could be as far to like resolution as literally being like, I did this, here's what happened, and done, let's move on. Or it could be like really kind of like deeper in her and like farther from a potential solution. And it could be like, my surrender is I am just now in this moment going to think about why I feel this way or how I feel. Like it could, you know what I mean? It's not,
mm.
huge spectrum of like of feeling that comes with like a surrender moment. And I think it's possible that it's like she's just scratching the surface with that line, and it's possible that has already scratched it and she's about to scratch it and is about to give the like deepest, most profound answer. And I feel like any place in between that spectrum is also like a viable place to think about what she could be saying.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's the picture you have of someone, right? And that will always change when any sort of evolution, right? Any sort of new knowledge, anything like that will change that. So it doesn't even have to be like the deepest of revelations.
Yeah.
It could just be something simple, like oh, I've been lying. I know French, right? And you're like, huh, I see you differently now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's just something like that can change the view you have of someone. So
100%. Yeah.
that's what makes it really interesting.
And I also think like your view of yourself can change, and that can affect how others see you too, like literally and figuratively. Like I literally remember when I was a kid, I jumped in a swimming pool too shallow, which I was always told not to do. Like it was constantly, I was doing it and getting hurt. And I was like, you need to stop doing that. And I did it at my birthday party. And I smashed my foot off the bottom of the pool. I was in so much pain. And I just, in the moment, I was like, I don't want to ruin this party. I don't want to be in trouble. I lied, said it was the water slide, like shot me out too fast. We better sue this place. Let's get out of here. And literally, that memory, I thought that it was the water slide. Like, and then I told the doctors that. I told people at my school that when I had a cast. Like, I genuinely in my heart believed it was the water slide until like many years later, I was like, what a little shit. Like, you jumped in the pool. That was like, and it's like, it's not malicious, but that was just
Yeah.
What the movie shows and what like I believe is that like memory is very fickle, and images are in our brain to represent feelings, and that's why they're valid and useful and like worth being looked at, but they're definitely not factual.
Yeah. That is definitely the truth. When you were you know, get breaking this character down, like what did you use to be able to kind of channel these emotions and this kind of mindset that Coline was in?
Yeah. I like just kind of kept coming back to her feeling trapped and misunderstood. And I feel like those are really universal emotions that I have a lot of experiences with, like throughout any phase of my life. And those kind of feelings are never specific to one situation. And I feel like that feeling of being like unable to get across what you want to get across is just so frustrating. And I feel like what I learned in like drama school is like emotions are just the byproduct of giving your all and trying to do something and maybe not succeeding. And so I feel like any emotions that Coline had were the result of just like a super like genuine attempt to achieve something, which was like, in my case, I found to be like either just like communicating with her partner or communicating with this like force, this like sci-fi therapy being. And I think that there's a lot of like microcosms as well that are really relevant to me as well as her, just being a woman. Like I think that it can be hard in just like living in a patriarchy to feel like men understand you or feel like the world understands you. And then I feel like just as a young person, that it could be hard. You could feel like technology doesn't understand me, or technology is exacerbating something that I don't want it to exacerbate. And so I just feel like there's a lot of really universal themes there that were really easy for me to just like find a quick example from my life. Think, yeah, how would that feel times 1,000, like being locked in a chair, like with a freaky thing on my head. And it was pretty seamless. Like I think it's fun because there's so often in like life when you want to like scream or thrash or shout or something and you kind of can't. And then in this, when we were making this, like I was asked to do those things, but a lot of times it was like under restrictions, either like physically restricted, like in some scenes we're literally like locked to a chair with like something
Yeah.
on our head. And then that was fun because it's like, okay, go for it. Like try to get out, thrash. And it's like I was really locked in there. Like I couldn't. So it's like that's just like a fun, free feeling to be like, do your worst. Like anything you were feeling shitty about last week, why don't you like just flail about it? Like you probably wanted to, but couldn't at the grocery store or at like the bank. And then the other kind of like more abstract way that we did that is like through a lot of like subtext and subtlety. And like a lot of times I feel like they were speaking things and not saying what they meant. And so that to me is always just like so fun. That's my favorite kind of acting, and my favorite thing to watch on screen is just like when you're in your head thinking like I'm saying this, but I mean something completely different. That's just like such a fun challenge. Like it's literally like a game. Like imagine like playing a game with me and you, and I'm like, I'm going to try to convince you to like get up and do a spin, but I'm not going to tell you to get up and do a spin. Like it's just fun. Like it's just so engaging. And that's, I think, why people like to act, because it's so engaging. But it was definitely like super heightened doing this.
Yeah. When I was watching this film, it really reminded me of there was a film that came out during the pandemic. I think it was directed by Sam Levinson. I think that's right. It's called Malcolm and Marie. It starred John David. Yeah.
It's funny. I haven't thought of that comparison, but that's totally accurate. I think that so much exciting stuff happens when you put like two people in a room together and be like, you can't leave. Like, it's just, I think that's just like a human nature thing where you're more likely to share or reveal or misbehave or be truthful or lie. I just think we're more likely to do crazy shit when we feel a little crazy. Like, I don't know. I guess that makes sense, but.
Well, yeah. And I think when you're forced into a long form conversation.
Totally.
Right. Because it's easy to, I think, repress emotions and temper and all of these kind of things in, short bursts. Right. If you're just like going to zip in a room, say a couple words and then you're leaving. Right. But if you have to sit there, look at someone and really get into something, at some point, everything's coming out.
100%. And that's like literally one of the exercises that they do in the like therapy viscera vestibule experience is every night they have to stand and stare at each other looking in the eyes for 30 seconds. And every night their like ring they have to stand in gets smaller and smaller. And I mean, it's so obvious, like in that kind of moment when someone doesn't want to be seen, when someone's hiding something. And I think before they can even get to the all bets are off, let's go crazy and speak our truth and have a long form conversation, like especially my character, like she needs to be like kind of worn down even to just relax into that experience. Like she's averting her eyes, she's breathing heavily, and she starts to then experience like physical symptoms of repression throughout the film. And also like past like health problems are brought up that also could be related to just like deep emotional repression and having it show up in the body. And yeah, I think it's just, it's a really interesting tool. And I literally did those exercises in like acting classes growing up, and then to have them be in a script now in like a new age therapy setting, I'm like, that honestly is so real. Like that would happen. Like that is where we're going. Like, and that is like, honestly, it would seem effective. Like I feel like all my acting school friends would be like, yeah, that class was like a therapy class. Like really like had to be vulnerable for a second and like be seen. And that can be really scary. But I feel like once you're in that state, I think it's natural to open up and let things flow.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like recently, but I've come across it numerous times in the past as well. That like this whole thing that a couple, if they feeling disconnected, they meant to, just sit together, like heads touching and looking into
Yeah.
each other's eyes for like a minute, kind
Yeah.
of.
I know. I've seen those on my like Instagram Explore page too. Like, if your partner's feeling sad, like place one hand on the small of their back. I'm like, I don't know. I guess it seems legit. I guess I subscribe to that, but why not? I mean, I think that's also the fun thing about like doing something in a sci-fi medium is like we don't have to explain why they're doing it. We could just do it, and that's something I just as like about film as a medium in general is like I love when we can just do something kind of crazy and just not have to talk about it and just accept it, and everyone's down for the ride. So
Yeah, that's always interesting. I thought the play with black and white and color was
yeah,
also fascinating, and I think especially when it comes to emotion as well. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like color can represent different types of emotions, or when you're being freer with the conversation type of thing, that all of that is always an interesting approach.
hmm yeah. I think that that's true, and I think like I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure we didn't decide to do that black and white thing until we were like actually filming. Like I think it was like the idea was floated, and then we did a take like in black and white, and we're like, oh yeah, this is it. Like it has to be this. And then just like from then on, we like continued shooting as like knowing like this is all going to be black and white, which was also interesting. Yeah, like in the moment shooting it like that, because even just watching it on the monitor, like it already felt so different from normal life and felt so kind of elevated and like sci-fi and like not grounded in our reality, which was I think helpful to
Mm.
know like we were jumping into this world. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of like a neutralizer. Like you can't really, it's hard to express yourself. It's hard to, it's harder to, like, it's harder to stand out. It's harder to make a statement. So I think that's kind of why black and white is cool. Like if they're in this therapy experience and we're supposed to be equals, we're supposed to not have a leg up, we're supposed to be ignoring our past relationship dynamics. That makes sense. That only added to like my frustration, like my character's frustration on what the fuck am I doing here? How am I going to get out of this? Like if I can't even like, write something down and know that it's going to show up on the page. And I think for me, like I was kind of imagining like that when she was in that world, like she was seeing black and white too. And then that's like an added element of like confusion, like disorientedness, and yeah, like frustration. Because at one point she's like literally screaming at the only like kind of living representation of the voice, which is like the speaker system on the wall. She's like screaming to be let out and she won't. And it's like, imagine she doesn't even know, like, yeah, but what if I wrote down like help me on a pencil and wouldn't even show up? Like I think it's kind of like a fun, it's almost like a kind of comedic moment to me, like me imagining her be like, oh fuck, another world's fucking black and white too. Like what the fuck is this stupid shit? Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
movies where someone gets trapped in like a rom-com. It's like, oh fuck, I'm trapped in a fucking like new age, like woo-woo, black and white, like this sucks, like thing. So yeah, I think I'm at like to be being aware as an actor was helpful, but also like as the character being aware was also helpful.
Yeah. Does like past emotions and experiences help with roles like this, where you could kind of think about previous relationships and interactions?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, in that moment when we were filming, it was like the tail end of the like long actors strike. And I think throughout that whole like summer, I had been processing like, how do I express myself without like really having this like medium that I've had since I was little to express myself. And I think for me and like a lot of my like actor friends, like we were feeling a lot of emotions that summer and feeling like, oh my goodness, like there's so much that we feel in our normal life and then to immediately put into our work and sort of like not have the work there for a bit it's like you just have to change your processing like experience and to change your how your brain like how like you change a habit, which is like always hard. And I think that so the timing was funny because I do think there was just like a lot that was like bubbling at the surface for me, and it was just like an awesome opportunity to just like go full force and like yell and cry and fell to the ground and thrash. And yeah, like I think in those moments, like the movie has a really calm element and a really like chaotic element. And so just like sense memory is so helpful, just being like, what does it feel like to be calm? Like, what does it feel like to be chaotic? And then when you find that memory that is visceral, you just hold on to it and you like ride it as long as you can from action to cut. And I mean, that's like, it's so thrilling. And it's, I think, an effective way of connecting to the story. I mean, yeah.
Did you do anything special, like in regards to build that relationship with Zach? Right.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It would really pop when you interacted on screen.
Totally. Yeah. Zach and I had rehearsals beforehand where we did a lot of like, again, like kind of like classic drama school, like exercises, like trust, communication, like understanding what each other means, maybe by an unspoken like interaction, and just experimenting with what it felt like to be close to each other, to be far from one another, to raise our voice to each other, to whisper to each other, to, you know, just build that comfortability. Because I think that we mostly wanted to let what happened, like with it between like action and cut. But what we wanted to make sure they at least read as like a couple and like some people who are comfortable with each other. And I think that there's just small things you can do, like just even just like having a coffee and hanging out, that help you just like understand that person as a being and start to anticipate their moves a little bit, and kind of can give you more maybe ammo for a fight, or maybe can give you more compassion for them. I think that like all humans, like especially actors, are really like empathetic. So I feel like just spending even a few like sessions, like working with Zach in like a rehearsal setting, you start to care about them. You start to like see them and know them and wish them well. And so I think that stuff was important because mostly the whole movie they're fighting, and we wanted that love to show. And like by the end, I was like, yeah, Zach, like even I think just like even in like the smallest like microcosm way, like I like love you and I'm connected to you and like need you just this weekend to shoot this short. You know what I mean? Like that's just this, even the smallest version of it. And then also aside from that, we're also like now friends and I care about him in a bigger way. But there's always parallels you can make. And I think the more parallels that you can draw that add that level of comfortability, and the better.
Yeah. I think when you're working on certain roles though, right, that are deeply emotional and play with so many different tropes, is there a fear of getting lost, or like what do you say, is there something that you use to anchor yourself so you don't get too deep into things?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think the good news is I'm like not like a method actor, and I feel like I am rarely like thinking about I'm rarely like like experiencing like my past trauma like live on screen. I'm more of like an take like more of an analysis approach, where I like think about that potential like deep trauma of the past, kind of like break it down and figure out what its core essence is and what those like what it physically feels like and looks like, and kind of use that on the day. And I feel like that's just a little bit more for me like healthy and sustainable and effective, because you know, maybe that day like that one day we were on set, it was like really really hot, and like maybe I was just going to be too hot that day to like go deep into my mind's eye about something that happened to me when I was a child. You know, maybe it was just like not going to work, or maybe that thing that I was, you know, that made me so sad happened one day when it was cold, and then the fact that it was so hot my body couldn't get there. So I think it's important for me to have like more concrete like triggers that I can use on the day. But I mean, of course, like you do start to feel it. And like I even joked with Zach when we were shooting, like by the end, I was like, I was like, am I mad at you? Like, are we in a fight? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure, because I'm like feeling mad at you. I think it was just, I've been yelling at you all day. Like, sorry if I like snapped at you at lunch. Like, but I'm just like so on her side right now that I just like, that's just my first instinct is to like defend. But yeah, I mean, I definitely had like, I think that there's like tips and tricks. And like I'm someone who always makes a playlist. Like I always have my headphones like nearby, just to like snap me into a specific kind of mood or theme or feel. And I think like physicality is kind of the biggest thing, where it's like if I've discerned like on my own before that like this movement triggers my brain to think this emotion, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what's going to consistently get a result, and what's going to make me feel like safe and happy enough to continue to do work.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So did you enjoy like messing around with sci-fi?
Oh, hell yeah. I really did. I have always loved like magical realism as a genre. And I just think that like in film, like we have this medium where you can do anything, like why not use it? And I'm always like love watching things where people you do things that aren't in our ordinary lives and don't harp on it. They just do it and move on. And it's a storytelling device, and it helps get across a theme or a point or emotion. And so it just felt like that to me. Like, I mean, yes, I guess like sci-fi specific or not, just like any kind of like magical realism, I really identify with, because I kind of feel like in my life, like there's things that can only be explained through the unknown, or like a butterfly flapping its wings, or like something falling from the sky. Like, I'm very kind of like that, and like with the world around me. Like I feel like I relate to the world around me in a really kind of like whimsical way, and so I really loved the sci-fi thing, and I think I'm honestly would want to do more of it. And I think just from like a technical standpoint, it's just fun. Like I liked putting on the hats. They're not hats. They're like science like gadgets, but I'll call them a hat.
Yeah.
My hat. They want a cute little hat. And like just figuring out, there's a lot of like technical elements there, just like that feel like almost like dancing, just to make it work and to work with like make it work with technology and stuff. And I'm also really into that. So yeah, sci-fi we love.
Have you had many of those roles?
Not really. Not really that I can think of. I feel like, no. I mean, I've had like I've done some like horror, which is like maybe the closest thing, but I haven't done too much sci-fi, but I'd be interested in it.
Okay.
As a child, I was like really into aliens. So I think that maybe that's just like my inner child coming out, who wants to like talk about aliens and outer space, and like that would be what I would want to do next.
Right. Well, we've got that new Alien TV series. So if that's successful, you know what I mean? There might be some series, you know what I mean? Might be roles coming up.
It's true.
Did you go see Romulus?
I haven't yet. I really want to see it though. I am excited. I almost watched it on the airplane like 2 days ago. I was coming back from a trip, but Then I was like, I don't know if I think it deserves to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, home for it since it's been out, but I'll try to see it like this week, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it would have
Right?
been as impactful
I
on a
know.
tiny ass
That's
screen.
what I was thinking.
Like if you could jump into a franchise.
Oh my God, Stranger Things. I know they're done and they're not really they're shooting their last season, but that's the franchise I would jump into. It's my favorite show. I just love that world. And I think they do such a good job of like it's so extreme, like sci-fi, like but that's not what I think about when I think about the show. I think about the characters and their connections and like my emotional ties to like their experiences and their situations. And it's just like fun and sweet. And I feel like I like grew up watching it. So yeah, definitely strange. I mean, I literally have like dreams about being in Stranger Things. I have like dreams where like cast members are like, "Congratulations, you're in it," and I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you." And then I wake up and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm not in it." Like, but so that's like a dead dream because I think they are done shooting it. But there's this show I just love, and I was channeling 11 so hard for this role, like so hard. And I'm like such a fan of Millie Bobby Brown. I think she's phenomenal, and like there were many times when I was just like channel 11, channel her. Like
Now the main series is finishing, but supposedly they are gonna do other stuff in that world.
What? Okay.
So yeah, the door's not shut on it.
Yeah, call me. I'm down. I loved that was it. It was her. I was channeling 11 a lot. And I was also randomly channeling Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. It's like that's less sci-fi, more like I guess it's kind of sci-fi. It's like dystopian future, like that, like YA dystopian future genre. But there was like when you're asking about like anything you do to like just feel something in the moment, like honestly, before I would like pull from my own life, like I would just be like, okay, 11 or okay, Katniss. And then immediately just like gets me. Those are just like two characters that I've like watched so much growing up and like have like loved so much that I feel like that it is easier to like step into them than myself sometimes because you're in your own head, but it's easy. But if you're like, but you jump into someone else's head, it's kind of a hack, kind of a tip.
Well, yeah, and also you can kind of just relate those emotions to them.
Yeah,
right. This isn't me, right? They're doing this thing because all of this stuff. It's just like I wouldn't do that.
But. No, exactly. It's just like it's just like shake it up. It's like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, but those shoes are someone fake.
Yeah, I'm so behind on Stranger Things.
God, so I've got for the new season. I don't even know when it's coming out, but it's so good.
Well, no, the problem is because they're splitting it into 3 parts.
I know, which I love, but because I'm just like any excuse to like get excited about it and like gather my friends to watch it. Like I'm like that person watching Stranger Things. I'm like not like that for most other shows, but that show I'll have like a watch party like for every episode.
Right. But part 1 and 2 are dropping this year. Part 3 is sometime next year. They haven't if they said
they're teasing
January next year or February next year, that's fine. But sometime, so I'm just like, I can't start.
I understand
until I know when the last, because I don't want to finish it all and then find out, oh, it's out in 4 months and be like,
that's so true. Honestly, relatable. That's how I feel. Like I finally got into House of Dragon after everyone convinced me and I loved it. And then they're like, okay, see you in 2 years. And I was like, what the heck? It's terrible. Like so rude. I just started this like after all these years. Like no.
Well, back in the day, there was this TV show called Babylon 5. It was the first show to kind of use CGI, first TV series to use CGI. And it was, it's really good. It is such a great show. But I found it on the last episode of the first season. And so back then, things weren't replayed like every month or anything. Right. Yeah, sometimes you had to wait like years before they would replay it. So and they didn't really advertise when they were doing it either. So it was always having to just like check and be like, are they rerunning it? Are they rerunning it?
You can't even imagine.
That was irritating as hell.
That's insane. I know. I can't believe we lived like that ever.
Oh, it's the Stone Ages, man.
It's insane. But there's something fun about it, you know, like waiting for like the premiere of something.
I mean, in the UK, we would get things a year after they would drop in the States. So it was
hard.
It was frustrating.
No, I remember I was like, I was not going to be home for these Disney Channel crossover episodes where it was like all the Disney Channel shows would come together and all the characters would interact like one episode. And so I think it was like That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana was the episode. So it was like combining all those 3 shows. And I must have been like in like kindergarten. And my family and I were like we were at a place that didn't have Wi-Fi. And I literally I think I made us like drive an hour, and like some girl I like kind of knew. I was like, your beach house has like Wi-Fi, right? Like, can I come watch this show? I need it. Because if I didn't see it then, I was never going to see it. And then what would have happened? That would not have, right? Like, then I don't even want to think of what would have happened if I hadn't seen it. Like, it would have been terrible. It's important.
I mean, props to your parents for actually
they were like, you're so annoying, like
doing that, because I can imagine being like, yo, I need to get home to what yeah, whatever, shut up.
I was like, you guys, it's a real emergency. It was.
Oh dear. And was it worth it?
Oh my god, yes, of course, totally. It was so good. So good.
Oh dear. With Coline and the wardrobe, did you get any say in those kind of choices?
I mean, for most of it, we're in like our like little matching hospital-esque outfits. No, I didn't get any say. I mean, I tried a bunch on. They all looked similar but different, which is, I guess, that's the funny thing about like for multiple projects, I've tried on like 45 of the same white shirt, and then like, but for some reason, like they're different, and you know, not good enough. But that's the costume people's job, not mine. And they're amazing at what they do, obviously. So I don't even try to understand. A lot of her like plain clothes were my actual clothes. Honestly though, like the stuff I brought is stuff I like never wear. So I guess that's like just shows that she's pretty different from me in that way. I feel like with Coline a little bit, I was like, I need to channel some like millennial core like clothing, because like Zach's a bit older than me, and I think it was written like kind of more about like his experience and like just being slightly older than me. And like I'm Gen Z, and just like there's just certain pieces of clothing that I was like, yeah, like just to like date this, like I feel like she'd wear this, like, you know, like me, like probably not going to be wearing like a big hat, but like this woman who was born in like 1990, you know, 2, maybe she would. And I feel like it's kind of another like fun little like not serious, just like kind of for me thing, where it's like I feel different now because I would never wear this hat, or like I feel different now because I would never wear this belt. And I think also there's something like, for me also, it's like fun to find things that are about my character that are different than me. And then because I find them very endearing. I'm like, that's an ugly belt, Coline. You're so cute for wearing it. Like, I like, you know what I mean? Like, you're so cute. Like, that's so, I love that you're wearing it, even though I personally think it's ugly. Like, I think that that's really I just think it's endearing. Like, I find people's quirks to be endearing, and I find it's fun to love your character for all their flaws and see them as a person, where it's like, how can I get that deep and serious and freak out about this person's like inner life, when really like what we can also just talk about is like how her hair looks. You know what I mean? Like she's just a girl. Like she's just a girl. Like it helps you remember. It's like she's not an evil person. She's not like her going through this therapy isn't going to cure cancer. Like she's just a girl. And I feel like that's people's everyday choices like that. Like they make up a person just as much as their like childhood trauma does. So it's just, yeah, it's like those things are valuable and important. And it's just fun to like, it's just acting is just like playing. And it's just like, that's the fun part of it. That's the playing dress up part. That's the like kind of not deep, like detective work that you have to do, where it's like, why did she wear that day? Like, was she wanting to look pretty? Was she wanting to look like smart? Like why? And it's just fun.
Yeah. But I kind of feel, right, it's you don't want everyone to always be looking so formulaic, because it is the quirks that attract people to people.
Totally. Yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean? It's those kind of things. So if everyone is always looking, you know what I mean, like military,
Yeah.
like would there really be the same connections? You know?
No, and I think, yeah, there's like so many like little things like when you're an actor on a set that you like see about your character that the audience doesn't even see, like things that the like set deck puts on their dresser, or like the tag of their clothes, or like the underneath of the inside of the prop bag. Like, there's just so much that it's it doesn't make meaning because the audience doesn't even really see it, but
Mm,
it but by but it has a meaning, and
yeah.
by looking at it you can make meaning for yourself. And I don't think that, yeah, anyone not making major decisions about the character based on like the inside of a purse, but maybe make a small decision, and maybe even subconsciously like it changes the way that you say one line or look at a person or just feel inside. And it's all helpful. I think like the more immersed you can get, the better. It's like that's why it's fun to be like to be a film actor, is because it kind of feels like an immersive language class where it's like sometimes when you're in it, it feels really real. Like every detail is really thought out. Like it isn't like, oh, the wall we're not shooting is blank. Like no, the wall we're shooting is like fully made up of like her stuff, you know? And so
Mm,
it's just, yeah, maybe it's even like at that point subconscious, but it's just, I mean, it's just that's just all acting is trying to like live truthfully under imaginary circumstances, and having like amazing costume people and prop people and set deck people make that easier and more interesting.
mm, yeah. Yeah, there's so many components that have to come together to really build a world, a character, right? An interaction.
Hmm.
And if any of those pieces are off, it can just throw everything out of sync, you know?
Yeah. And like we had, like me and Zach, we had a photo shoot like before filming, just like three different looks, three different places for photos of them in the past that were going to go around their apartment.
Right,
Like
right.
that day was so informative and fun. And like now it kind of feels like we actually went to like this like downtown LA stadium and held hands and jumped in the air like and took a picture, because we did. And like it probably was silly and goofy to the characters, and it was actually silly and goofy to us. And so now I just have that experience, and that's always going to color how I talk to Zach now, you know, like no matter what, even though I'm definitely not thinking about the time we jumped in front of the like tourist building when I'm yelling at him about our relationship problems. But you can't ignore that happened. And so, yeah, I think it's so interesting. And it's so, yeah, you just like, it's just like layering and layering and layering and like adding color. And especially because we did it in black and white, like you want to have as much like internal color as you can. And just like, I feel like it's a lot. I think a lot is just like being a detective. Like I feel like the audience wants to be a detective when they're watching and figure out like what everyone's thinking. Why are they thinking that? Why are they saying that? What does that thing in the background mean? And then when you're an actor, you're being a detective too, where you're like, what can I take from this and this and this? And oh, these awesome collaborators that I'm working with, put that there. Like that, what does that mean about the character? Like, that means something because it's here. So it's real. So it means, so there's work to be done. I can detective this moment and find something new and interesting, if only just because you're bored in between takes, literally. Like, but it's always going to come up somehow, I think.
Mm. And when you are doing those kind of things, right? Doing the photo shoot, right? And all of these kind of things, which aren't necessarily building for what you're shooting, but it's that background material. Do you have to then, like, with the photos, is it like you have to think about what stage of the relationship were they in when they did this?
Yeah.
Right? So in this shot, it's at the beginning. So they're really, touchy feely. In this one, you know what I mean? It's kind of, they're in that ambivalent phase, and so they're a bit more aloof. Was there that kind of thought that was going into those?
Yeah, just a little bit. They were, I mean, for one of them, it was like pretty goofy, like touristy. We could kind of assume like maybe it's from like an early stage when they were dating. And then for the other two that we did, I feel like it was more just like cultivating a vibe that Zach and I could both understand as like our couple vibe. And like, in one of them, it was like us, like kind of at like a cool, like brick background, sitting in jeans, sharing a cigarette. Like maybe we're on vacation or something, like Europe, and we're both kind of just like sitting back, really relaxed, really cool. And I think that just like doing those shots, like that's like, okay, this is our neutral. This is what we're fighting for when we're having that fight. Like this is the place that we can, the like place we can look at as the blank when we're going here and here and there and there and there. Like here's a constant if we ever get lost. Like this is just our, this is what makes us what makes us partners. Like this is what our it's like a mood board for your like relationship kind of. And like this is how we both are. This is why we got together. This is how it feels to be comfortable and happy as us. And yeah, I think that it just it also just tells me a lot about both characters separately. Like, oh, like they are kind of hipster. They are kind of like artistic. They are kind of like, I don't even know, just they're just kind of the cool vibe. And I think it's just you got to know that about somebody, because yeah, like again, like there are, especially in a short where we're not getting too much exposition and like it is heavily like thematic and like kind of like shooting in like almost just like motif like short scenes, and we don't get like a huge like character intro. It is easier to accidentally slip into yourself because it's like, oh yeah, we're talking about big themes here, so like this is how I'd react to a big theme. But just yeah, like I feel like almost like those photos were almost like if it was a feature, they're like the exposition that is really important to feel, because if you don't have like examples of just their personalities, then they're not gonna have personality, and that would be boring. Or it's gonna end up being like the actor's personality, which is not truthful to the story.
Yes, definitely. How has it been with this on the festival circuit?
It's been so fun. I mean, we shot it like a year ago, and then it had its festival premiere in, Friday, May 3rd. I have a little poster right there from it. On Friday, May 3rd at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. That was really fun to get to go and like see everybody again and dress up and watch it. And it was in like a sci-fi block at that festival. So it was really interesting to watch other people's like takes on sci-fi shorts this year and see similarities and see differences and talk to other people, especially other like women. Like there's one other girl I met doing that circuit who is in a sci-fi short as well. And just like, then now I see her at like commercial auditions and we're like, hey girl, like how's it going? Like it's fun. And I feel like if you're like, we're on like a life path together. And like, I don't know, I maybe would have never met those people, but we have something in common because we're all exploring similar themes in film at the same time. So we're obviously having some similar experience. There's obviously some reason for us to be connected and something positive that can come of it. So yeah, it's been fun. I think that's the biggest thing, is just like being able to connect with people that I would never have connected with, but in some weird way are having the same experience as me right now.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, you're playing at Sci-Fi London, which is like, the premium UK sci-fi film festival.
I love that. I wish I could go. I love London. I'm obsessed, but alas.
Maybe make another sci-fi, submit next year.
Such a good idea. It's a good idea.
What kind of things do you kind of look for like, next roles?
It's a good question. I honestly, I look for like character. I feel like this summer I was like realizing I was like, I pause. I think I like, it kind of depends. I like to look for things that I'm like craving in my real life. And like, I remember this summer I was like, I'd love to play an athlete. Like I'd love to be a really intense athlete character, like a high school athlete or like a alien athlete, like just any, I was like, I feel like it should be, I'm like, just my vibe right now is like, I'm in an intense mood and I want to have a goal and pursue it and have there be some structure and live under those circumstances and see what happens emotionally. And then like, I did a little bit about this summer, and now it's like, okay, what am I looking for now? Like, what's my vibe right now? And like, I think I'm like, okay, well, like going into the fall, maybe I'm feeling a little bit more like, I don't know, like silly. Like I'm going to be more silly. Like I think it's just kind of finding like just random things that I'm drawn to in my normal life and being like, is there a character that would do this in like in a controlled way that I could do it through them? Like, yeah, it's always kind of different. Like I love to just kind of be like, today I want to be an archaeologist. Like, is there any archaeologist roles? Like, just like, I think that's like kind of the like childhood aspect of like acting and like having done this since I was little. I feel like I still comes from that place of just like wanting to play and wanting to like live out some fantasy or like exercise some secret want, or not even so secret, like, you know, just, and acting is just so fun because everything's heightened and you're in the zone. It's like, I think that's why people want to do it, because it's like a really awesome experience to feel like you're really locked in and like engaging with other people and stuff. And I think that, yeah, it's like any kind of like anything that I can see there being like a lock in the zone aspect to, I want to do. Like I am less likely to be excited about a character who comes in for 5 minutes, as a line, and then comes in later and says a line about something completely different. Like I like an arc. I like characters who have wants and needs and have a lot of different ways they're going to go about getting them. Like I like tactical characters. That's just, for me as an actor, it's more interesting to get to try different things and pursue my goals in different ways. I don't really want to play someone extremely like one dimensional, and that's like pretty often no one really does. But I think that, yeah, just looking for motivation, looking for someone who's passionate and is gonna pursue a goal hard. I like that.
Are you finding that we're getting more rounded characters as time is going on? You know, more realistic, I should say.
I think that's possible. I think that I'm like the kind of like older end of being Gen Z. Like I don't like identify with like all the Gen Z like tropes, but I was born in like 1999, so like technically am. And I as like an elder Gen Z, am always watching stuff for young people and like kind of hoping it's responsible and hoping that it's truthful for the rest of my generation. And like I'm always like bracing for impact when they're about to use a cell phone, because I'm like, why has no one figured out how to like use a cell phone in a truthful way on film? Why does it still sometimes look so cheesy? Or why does social media always make me kind of like cringe when they try to put it in a movie when it's such a real part of life? And I think that I've noticed like that getting a bit better. I think that especially as like more people my age start to be the ones making decisions, I'm seeing a lot of like really truthful, well-rounded characters that live in this modern world in a way that I understand and that it feels like right to me. And like I'm seeing people like feel the frustration of like our political climate and like the environment and like technology and all that shit. Like I see that those themes like coming up now, obviously, because that's what we're all thinking about, I think. And then I'm seeing them be done in a way that's not one-dimensional and not just like tagging this little thing in just so we can like check it off the list. Like,
yeah.
And I think I'm also seeing a lot more like nastiness on screen in like a fun way, not like mean, but like I feel like I love when it's someone does something gross or does something embarrassing or like makes a mistake and, you know, doesn't apologize right away. Like I think that stuff is all, I think that like, yeah, like the people I like who are my age and like a little older are doing a good job of being kind of like unapologetically messy on film. And I think people are just like craving that. And I think I'm down to like use a trope. I like love a trope as like a tool and like a device for storytelling or kind of like getting a theme across. But I think like within those tropes, I like to see just like characters get messy, I guess.
Okay. And what is next for you? Do you have anything else lined up?
I don't actually. I just got back from a trip to Korea. I was there just for fun.
Nice.
And I was kind of like puts everything on hold just to go like have a good vacation. And it was amazing. And I hopefully am excited to put that into what I learned there into my next thing I work on. I mean, currently have a Nissan commercial running, if you see that. And I am going to be in an episode of Lioness in the fall when that season 2 comes out of that. So I'm looking forward to that.
I hear that's a good show. I've
Yeah.
only just got Paramount Plus.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Paramount Plus, exactly. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then yeah, I have a couple other like indie movies that are shot in the like fall and spring that will be coming out and doing their own like festival run, which I'm excited about. Those are fun because they're indie and they're also like people who are like my age and stuff. So I feel like that'll be fun to reunite with them when those hit. Actually, my best friend and roommate made a short that is just finished recently called Seeking Sugar that we're really excited about doing the festival circuit with. So look out for that in the festival circuit, people.
Tremendous. Also, well, that all sounds great. How can people keep track of everything you're doing?
That's a great question. They can go on my Instagram, which is Molly B. Thomas, XOXO. Or you can look me up on IMDb under Molly B. Thomas. You can come to my house. Just kidding, don't do that. You can, text me, call me if you have my phone number. If you don't do that. Yeah, I would say IMDb for like business inquiry and Instagram for just fun updates and pics.
Awesome. Well, people, you can check out Molly in a superb performance in Viscera. Now I know how to pronounce the film, which is all good. And yeah, you'll be able to watch it as part of Sci-Fi London from the 14th to the 22nd of September. Go give her a follow on social because it sounds like there are some big things in the future for her. And when you're ready to talk about another project, please stop by for a catch up.
Definitely. It's been so lovely chatting.
Tremendous. Thank you so much for your time, Molly. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.